This episode is brought to you by Sterling Soap Company. How often do you think about your soap? Well, if you answered, not much, maybe you should. You see, a lot of what passes for soap in stores is technically not soap, according to the FDA's definition. It's full of lab-created chemicals and detergents because, well, it's cheaper to make. Now, what if you could buy natural soap made from natural ingredients like tallow, palm oil, coconut oil, and scented with essential oils, and for just a little more than you'd pay for grocery store soap? Sterling Soap is 100% natural, and with a wide variety of bath soaps, shave soaps, beard balm, lotions, and cologne, there's a product and a scent for just about everybody. Check them out for yourself at sterlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Darren Hayes, host of the Pigskin Dispatch and Jersey Dispatch podcast. I hope you've enjoyed another great episode here on Sports History Network. Now, speaking of sports history, this episode was brought to you by Firefly Books, and they have two great ones for you this summer. For basketball fans, they have the NBA 75, the definitive history by author Dave Zarum, who's appeared on our Jersey Dispatch podcast recently. He tells about the experience, the thrilling journey of the NBA, from its humble beginnings to its modern glory. Uncover the untold stories of triumph, controversy, and the greatest stars of the game. This isn't just a book. It's courtside seats to over 75 years of NBA history. And for the golf enthusiasts, swing into The Golf Round I'll Never Forget by Matt Adams. Relive 50 of golf's most memorable moments through the eyes of the legends themselves. From Garcia's triumph at the 2017 Masters to Nicklaus' miraculous 1986 comeback, it's the closest you'll get to walking the fairways with golf's greatest. Get your summer read on. Grab a copy of NBA 75 or The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, available online or at your favorite bookstore.
This is Basketball History 101 with Rick Loayza.
Welcome back to Award-winning Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network. I'm your host, Rick Loayza, and this is the podcast where we bring to life some of the forgotten stories from basketball history. We are bringing old school basketball to a new school audience, and today we bring you the story of the man who followed John Wooden at UCLA. His name was Gene Bartow. But before we get into Bartow's story, let me take a moment to give a full scope of what he was walking into. John Wooden is considered by many to be the greatest basketball coach of all time. At the very least, he is considered the greatest university-level coach of all time, and that is almost undisputed. John Wooden was first hired by UCLA in 1948, but it was not until his 16th season at the school that he won his first national championship in 1964. And then it was Wooden's world, and everybody else was just living in it. From 1964 until 1975, John Wooden and UCLA won 10 national championships. It is one of the greatest runs in basketball history at any level. They won 10 championships in 12 years, including 7 championships in a row from 1967 until 1973. And what makes that even more incredible is that unlike the professional ranks like the NBA, you cannot keep your players together for 10 or 12 years. At the university level, a player can only play a maximum of 4 seasons and then he has to leave. Of course, there are some exceptions where a player has petitioned for a 5th season or even a 6th season, if they can demonstrate that there were mitigating circumstances. But generally speaking, a player only has 4 years to make his impact, and then he has to leave. And back in Wooden's day, players were only allowed to play 3 seasons before they had to leave. Therefore, what made winning 7 championships in a row even more incredible is that the team's best players were graduating every year and new players had to step into those leadership roles. Winning that many championships with an ever-changing roster is what put Wooden up on the pedestal as the greatest university coach ever. And at the end of the 1975 season, Wooden won his 10th and final championship, and then announced his retirement. And that sent shockwaves throughout Westwood, where the campus is located. How in the world do you replace the great John Wooden? Well, it was not exactly like they were a bunch of championship coaches just hanging out there ready to be hired, because Wooden had been winning all the championships. But UCLA landed on Gene Bartow. He was a Midwesterner, like Wooden. He had been raised in a small town, like Wooden. He was a devoted family man, like Wooden. And he had a very gentle demeanor, again, like Wooden. And he was already on the UCLA radar from 2 years earlier in 1973. That was the year that UCLA won the national championship by defeating Memphis State University, which was coached by one Gene Bartow. So if you are UCLA, why not hire the coach who led the second best team in the country from just 2 years earlier? And that's exactly what they did. For the cover of the new media guide, UCLA decided to use a photo of John Wooden and Gene Bartow posing together, symbolizing some sort of passing of the torch. And this was a chance for Bartow to take over the most prestigious university basketball program in the country. Almost any coach would jump at a chance like that. UCLA had incredible support from the students, the alumni, and university leadership. And let us not forget that UCLA is located in Los Angeles in sunny Southern California, where the weather was warm all year long. And I know because I grew up there. But in one sense, getting the UCLA job is a no-win situation for Bartow. The expectations at UCLA were winning national championships. The fans did not care about just having a winning season, or winning the conference, or even making a good run through the tournament. Anything less than a national championship would have been considered an utter failure. Now, if you had asked anyone at the time if they expected for Bartow to go on a string of national championships, they would have said no, at least publicly. But privately, they wanted more championships, or they were going to call for Bartow's firing. By Bartow's own admission, he was a bit naive when he took over UCLA. You see, he had never really had to deal with heavy scrutiny at any point during his coaching career. He started out as a high school coach where he won a Missouri State championship, and that led to him being offered the coaching job at Central Missouri State University. He won the conference, and that led to him moving over to Valparaiso University in Indiana. He had more success there and was then offered the job at Memphis State University. The Memphis State program was one of the worst programs around when Bartow took over, and he led them to the national championship game in his third season at the school. By all accounts, he was considered a program builder. He was the basketball equivalent of a magician. Everywhere he went, he found coaching success. Scrutiny and criticism was not anything that he ever had to deal with, not in any real sense. Every school that he coached at was located in a relatively small town with a small media presence. Most of these journalists were just happy to see the local school experience some winning. But UCLA is a completely different animal. It is a much harsher environment media-wise. In the middle of Los Angeles, you have so much competition, and not just in terms of basketball, which is already competitive with a second major program just on the other side of town in USC. Then you have the Lakers, who also compete for space in the local newspaper and on the local television news. And not to mention all of the other sports teams that compete for attention in Los Angeles, both professionally and at the university level. So with all of that going on, Bartow stepped into being the new coach at UCLA. He had 7 players returning from the previous season's national championship team. He had a solid squad that could potentially go far in the tournament. However, in his very first game as the new coach, he had to play Indiana University, which was led by Hall of Fame coach Bobby Knight. The game was played on a neutral court in St. Louis. Bobby Knight wanted this game badly. Knight never got along with John Wooden and wanted to defeat UCLA. And to make a long story short, Indiana destroyed UCLA by a score of 84-64. UCLA had not been beaten like that in years. Under John Wooden, UCLA went through several perfect seasons. Losses were very few and far between under Wooden, and they certainly did not lose by 20 points when Wooden was in charge. That is how Bartow started his tenure at UCLA. but they quickly recovered and won 23 of the next 26 games and finishing the regular season with the best record in the conference and a spot in the NCAA tournament. Further, Bartow led UCLA all the way to the Final Four that year with a very real chance of winning another national championship. And in the national semifinal game, they again faced Indiana University. And Indiana won again, 65-51. By any reasonable measure, taking a team to the Final Four is an incredibly successful season. Today, there are over 350 basketball teams that compete in the top tier of university athletics in the United States. So out of 350 schools, to finish in the top 4 is amazing. But UCLA did not play for top 4. In Bartow's second season, he went 23-4 in the regular season and won the conference yet again. But they lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament to Idaho State by a score of 76-75. As far as the media was concerned, Bartow was an utter failure for not winning the national championship, even though he was still winning the conference and making good runs in the NCAA tournament. It just got to be too much for Bartow, and as I said earlier, it was a no-win situation. The expectations at UCLA were completely unlike the expectations at Memphis State or Valparaiso. I have said the following to my friends when we sit around discussing sports, and the thing that I say to them is that you never want to follow a legendary coach because the expectations are beyond reasonable. What you want to be is the second guy after the legendary coach. The first guy typically takes a beating in the press and the expectations are then lowered. Then the second guy comes in under more reasonable expectations and is able to find a friendlier media. And I know why guys take these jobs under these circumstances. It is because they have an incredible amount of confidence in their ability, and often this is their chance to coach in the big time. And I get that. Most coaches at the top programs have large egos, but generally speaking, you do not want to be the coach that follows John Wooden. Or looking at NBA examples, do you want to be the coach that follows Phil Jackson? Can you imagine what it will be like for the coach that follows Steve Kerr in Golden State? That will be a very tough transition. But I do not say any of this to insult or criticize Gene Bartow, not at all. I only say this to describe the immense pressure that he walked into. So after just 2 seasons, he resigned from UCLA and took the opportunity to move to the University of Alabama at Birmingham, or UAB for short. UAB did not have a basketball team at all, and they wanted to start one. So they hired Gene Bartow to be the founding coach of their basketball program. And they also made him the athletic director, which meant that he was ultimately in charge of hiring the coaches for the other sports teams as well. At Birmingham, he took his team to the NIT tournament in only their second season of existence. And then he took the team to the NCAA tournament for 7 years in a row. He literally took a team that did not even exist to 7 tournament appearances in their first 9 years. The man can flat out coach and build basketball programs. In the end, he coached UAB for 18 seasons and then retired from coaching in 1996. He then continued on at the school as their athletic director for 4 more years. And then he finished his career as the president of the Memphis Grizzlies of the NBA. Sadly, he passed away from cancer in 2012. But I want to be clear that Gene Bartow was a great coach. Any school would be lucky to have him lead their program. His time at UCLA was an experience that, by his own admission, he did not handle well. I do not completely blame him. Imagine having a job, any job, where somebody out there is writing a daily blog post about how bad you are at your job. It would be a natural human response to want a different job without that kind of pressure. Again, Bartow was a great coach and should be remembered as such. He was just in a no-win situation at UCLA. Well, that is it for today. Join us next time when we share another story from basketball history. That's next time on Basketball History 101, part of the Sports History Network, the headquarters of sports yesteryear. Go to sportshistorynetwork.com to find out more about this and other sports history podcasts. If you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts, and check out our page on Facebook. It's called Basketball History 101 Podcast, and there you will find short historical posts, and I'll also announce there when new episodes come out. I want to thank my producer and editor, Jacob Loayza. Join us each week as we continue to mine the history of basketball for more great stories from the past. Take care, and see you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
The Sports History Network, where legends live on and the past plays loud. Welcome to the place where history's proud. From gridiron glory to the hardwood stars, from the racetrack heat to Olympic bars. It's the voices, the stories, the moments you miss, told by fans and pros who live for this. Hook and Themic, the Sports History Network, where the past comes alive. Podcasts and blogs that keep the flame high. From Babe to Brady, Alley to the Dome. If it's history and sports, then this is the home. SportsHistoryNetwork.com, the headquarters of sports yesteryear.